Good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. I am Srilankanbeauty for the Newsfirst team, the voice of the people. Before we get into your stories in detail, let's first take a look at the headlines.
President says economic stability expected by 2026. President assures that powers to detain will not be used. Many factions allege that the government is trying to pass laws to suppress the public under the guise of maintaining law and order. Election Commission seeks meeting with Prime Minister. Commission announces that former chairmen of local government bodies will not be allowed to function as special commissioners. SLPP hints on next presidential candidate. A UNP-led government will be established. A statement from Akila Viraj Karivasa.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that laws are being formulated to introduce a new act to replace the Prevention of Terrorism Act and also to establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The head of state made this statement while joining a virtual interview with Harvard University via Zoom.
Alongside negotiating for the IMF facility, Sri Lanka has embarked on efforts to restructure its debt. Precise negotiations with creditors on the modalities of restructuring debt will commence now. In reorganizing debt, Sri Lanka will ensure that the stability and integrity of its financial system remains robust and unhindered. All these measures will stabilize the economy by 2026 at the latest. However, this alone is not sufficient.
President Wickremesinghe also spoke about reconciliation and establishing law and order.
I have been talking with the Tamil members of parliament, both in the government and the opposition, to tackle the unresolved issues regarding national reconciliation. The expeditious tracing of Tamils missing in action. This is an urgent measure. The issue of Tamil prisoners who were involved in terrorist activities, the release regarding them, operationalizing the National Lands Commission under the Constitution, return of the lands in the north and east, settling the latent issues of the devolution of political powers and the implementation of the Presidential Commission report on the violation of human rights, to name a few. In addition, legislation is being prepared for a Truth and Reconciliation Commission alongside a new law to replace the existing Prevention of Terrorism Act.
What concrete steps are you taking to restore the rights for peaceful protest and release those who were detained without due process?
Firstly, the right to peaceful protest is there. A lot of people are protesting. It happens when there's violence. So what can you do if they come and clash with the police and if they are not peaceful? That's all that I could tell you. As far as people, no, there were 3 people whom we detained and they have all been released. Before the 3-month period was up to extend the detention, they were released as things in the country were peaceful. I am certainly not using the detention powers of the president.
Many factions allege that the government is suppressing the general public under the guise of establishing law and order. These factions allege that the government gazetted the new Counter-Terrorism Act 3 days ago on the 22nd of March to accomplish this.
This act brings out serious violations of the fundamental rights in Sri Lanka. Any police officer can arrest a person who is against the government. Even a person who writes an article to a paper, speaks to the media, distributes leaflets or put up a post on Facebook can be construed as someone who is against the government. Under this act, any police officer can arrest such a person considering them as a terrorist. When the suspect is taken to the police, a senior inspector can remove all of the suspect's clothes and examine him and collect biological samples. The Deputy Inspector General of Police can issue a detention order to detain the suspect for a period of 3 months. They can then extend this. If action is filed in the High Court, the President can inform courts through the Attorney General that the suspect will not be given bail until the conclusion of the case. The Attorney General can give an assurance that they will not file action against the suspect under the promise that the suspect will not say anything against the government for the next 20 years. When we look at how court proceedings go ahead, there are people who are imprisoned for a long period without any charges against them being proved. The Prevention of Terrorism Act is the same, and this act is even worse. The President can ban any organization at any time. Those who are against the decision of the president to ban these organizations can also be considered as terrorists. Who can we appeal these decisions to? The appeals must also be filed before 3 individuals appointed by the president. When we look at all of this, the executive has acquired a majority of the powers, even powers that are vested in the courts. In the end, these provisions will allow the government to imprison anyone who is against them for many years. Through this act, Ranil and the Rajapakshas are trying to take Sri Lanka back to a time even before the French Revolution.
ප්‍රංශ විප්ලවයටත් කලින් ලෝකයේ තිබ්බ තැනට රනිල්ලයි රාජපක්ෂලයි ලංකාව ගෙනියන්න හදනවා මේ පනත.
Terrorism is interpreted in the PTA. It clearly states that terrorism is connected to an armed movement. But this ATA does not have such an interpretation. According to this act, whether or not a person is a terrorist is determined by Ranil and the Rajapaksas. Ranil is preparing to not hold the election. Now, if we even demand for an election, according to Ranil, we will become terrorists. According to this, the president can declare anything that he wants as an essential service. They are establishing an official group of thugs within the police to suppress protests. They are establishing a separate anti-terrorism unit. This also includes a provision that protesters can be sent to rehabilitation camps. Protesters can either apologize or pay a fine, or they can be sent to rehabilitation camps. They are also indirectly establishing rehabilitation camps through this act. It is very clear what they are trying to do here. If this ATA is passed in parliament, journalists, political activists and organizations cannot do anything besides supporting Ranil.
රනිල්ට තේරණ භාෂාවෙන් ගොට්ටල්ලන වැරෙන් මේ පනත ජාත්‍යන්තර ප්‍රමිතීන්ට පටහැනි. පැහැදිලි ලෙස
This act is against international standards. As attorneys, we clearly state that this act is against international standards. The rulers are attempting to pass provisions for things that they want to do, which they couldn't do legally so far. Remember that the president is only the executive of this country. The powers of the legislature are also being usurped here. The executive is also usurping the powers of the judiciary. When those who destroy the economy of this country are raising their head, and when the dirty political culture of this country is raising their heads, we condemn these laws that have been brought to tie the hands and legs of the general public.
මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ අතපය බඳින්නගෙන ආපු මේ නීති හෙලා දකිනවා.
The National Election Commission says that they requested for a meeting with the Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena.
The Election Commission said the issues that have arisen due to the postponement of the election will be discussed at the meeting. The discussions will mainly focus on the payment of salaries for state sector employees who are contesting for the election. Speaking in Parliament last Friday, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said he intends to summon the Election Commission to discuss on the election. Meanwhile, the Election Commission is of the stance that former representatives of local government bodies cannot be allowed to be appointed as special commissioners to oversee the operations of the local government bodies after their term ended. The Election Commission was responding to reports that have emerged of attempts to appoint former members of the local government bodies as special commissioners after the official term of those bodies ended. The Commission points out that appointing these individuals who are also contesting the upcoming local government polls as special commissioners would adversely affect the independence of these institutions.
We
have received reports that the government is attempting to form a special committee on local government bodies and also attempting to form a similar committee for the provincial councils. Through these moves, the executive is attempting to usurp the control of 8,917 local government bodies. This is a serious issue. The executive is attempting to acquire the control of all of these representative bodies. The establishment of these committees also show that the government does not intend to hold the local government election or the provincial council election anytime soon. The executive is disregarding the public's opinion. The executive is disregarding the procedures in the country. The executive is acting contrary to the legislature, and the executive is also acting in the contempt of court. This is a drawback of democracy.
Journalists questioned Minister Bandula Gunawardena as to if the government intended to form a committee on local government bodies and provincial councils.
No such decision has been made. Why should you create stories on decisions that have not been taken? As a party, we are looking forward to an election. Our chairmen do not need to be controlled under a commissioner. There is freedom now for an election whenever the government is ready. Our chairmen will work to emerge victorious at the election.
There's an order from court directing officials to release funds for the election. The government is disregarding this interim order from court and is trying to establish committees and get their political henchmen to run these local government bodies. That is what the government is trying to do with yesterday's proposal. They are not allowing the people to exercise their franchise. They are trying to suppress the election through these committees.
කමිටු හරහා මේ ඡන්දය යටපත් කරන්න. ඡන්ද වැදගත් වෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට බලය ලැබෙන තාක්කල් විතරයි.
The election is only important to them if they are winning the election. If not, the election is not important to them. The constitution, which gave Ranil Wickremesinghe the opportunity to sit on the seat of the president, clearly states that the election must be held on time. Now his power is clashing with the constitution. They respect the courts only until the court protects their power. When the election challenges their power, they don't hold the election. When the constitution is a challenge to their power, the constitution is a mere piece of paper. When the court protects their power, it is sacred. But when it challenges their power, it is merely a building. Why are they violating the constitution and a court order and postponing the election? They are doing that because the power that they held for so long is about to be transferred to the people. That is why they are doing this.
While discussions continue on the absence of public representatives at local government bodies and provincial councils, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna spoke about the next presidential election. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna says that they will not present a candidate who does not understand politics.
SLPP parliamentarians Namal Rajapaksa, Pavitra Banyarachi and Sagar Karyavasam attended the opening of a party office in Bandaragama today. We made a mistake in fielding Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was not involved in politics, as the presidential candidate. We as a party have come to a self-realization on this fact and decided never to repeat the mistake of fielding a candidate who does not understand politics ever again.
Many people are attempting to intimidate supporters of the SLPP. This was happening since April and it led to the incidents on the 9th of May. We have no issue with the Aragalaya, but we have an issue with those who were engaged in the Aragalaya.
SLPP parliamentarians spoke about those who were engaged in the Aragalaya at an event in Gampaha.
We can only be brought to our knees by the people. If you do not vote for us, then we are ready to go home. But if some rebels come and point the gun to our head and force us to resign after you have voted and appointed us, we will not step down. A group of people who cannot rise to power democratically burnt down the houses of our parliamentarians. They attacked the house of the MP who worked for your village. If democracy is to be protected in the country, you must ensure the law and order in our country. This economic crisis must be resolved. It is only after these two goals are accomplished that we can come to a democratic framework and work accordingly. We are working towards that. We need to take the hard decisions as a government.
While parliamentarians of the SLPP expressed those views, Deputy Leader of the UNP, Akila Viraj Karyavasam, speaking at a party convention in Kurunegala today, said many factions have expressed their support to form a UNP-led government.
I would like to inform you that the next government established will be a UNP-led government. It will be under the leadership of Ranil Wickremesinghe. All other parties will support this. SLPP MPs have also expressed support for the program of Ranil Wickremesinghe. Many other parties have also expressed their willingness to join hands with us. Therefore, I believe that this will transform into a massive force. You will understand his program as we move forward. No matter what allegations are levelled against him, I believe that parliamentarians in the opposition are also uneasy now. Certain groups are looking to join hands with Ranil Wickremesinghe. There is a group in the opposition waiting to do this. Some people who used to shout out saying Ranil Rajapaksa are now calling him Ranil Wickramasinghe. This is politics.
Ranil Wickramasinghe mahathaya කියලා කතා කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා. ඉතින් මෙහෙම තමයි ඇත්තෙම දේශපාලන.
The Samagi Youth Lawyers Movement convened a media briefing today. They stressed that those who committed economic crimes during the recent past should also be investigated under the Anti-Corruption Act that the President is planning on presenting.
He said that he will bring the best anti-corruption law in South Asia. That is good. But the issue is that the biggest crime after independence are the crimes that led to the situation that Sri Lankans are facing today, with people not having medicine and parents unable to purchase books for their children. This act should be brought in a manner that those who committed economic crimes in Sri Lanka and destroyed the country's economy can be prosecuted. It is pointless if the provisions of the act only come into effect from the date that it is passed on. We asked Ranil Wickramasinghe to bring forward this act in a manner that politicians who committed economic crimes and other corrupt activities for the last 20 to 25 years can be prosecuted and punished.
The Student Council of the Open University staged a protest today. The students demanded for free education within the Open University to be protected, reduce the course fees that were increased, and solve the issues of the hostels in the university.
This was the situation that ensued when the students attempted to set up a tent opposite the Open University.
While thousands of people in the country are suffering without clean drinking water, here's a story from Vilgamur in Matale, where a drinking water project costing millions of rupees has been stopped halfway.
This large-scale drinking water project centering around the Vilgamur area in Matale commenced construction work on the 1st of August 2016. Its aim was to provide drinking water to around 40,000 families. The project plans to extract water from the Hinganga and direct it to the water filtration system built in the Suluguna area in order to supply water for 39 Grama Nildari divisions. Around 2 years ago, Newsfirst revealed that the construction was dragging on for too long. Following the revelation, the authorities decided to expedite the project. Although plans were in place to build another water tank in the Nagolla area, the construction has been stopped halfway, and this is its current status. Machinery worth millions, including filtration systems, can be seen rusting away in various places.
Some filtration machines still have their seals on, but they're just left to rust. Why don't the authorities pay any attention to this?
However, local banks have invested around 3.58 billion rupees on this project.
While 99% of the construction work of the water pumping station in Suluguna has been completed, they are wasting millions of rupees by stopping it. This project, which was inaugurated to help kidney patients in this area, has failed. Those kidney patients aren't even alive anymore. Around 90% of them have died. The authorities must pay attention to this. They can at least save the lives of the remaining kidney patients.
The construction work for the project has been dragging for over 7 years, and the authorities' negligence is disappointing.
It's been 12 to 13 years since I developed kidney disease. The doctors say it's because of the water. They say we have got this sickness because the Wilgamore area does not have clean drinking water. It will be a meritorious deed if at least they can save the younger generations by completing this project.
Residents urged the government to complete this project and finally provide clean drinking water to this area.
Let's now cross over to a short commercial break and come back for more news.
News First, main sponsor.
23% for 2 months, 25% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Welcome back to the news. Newsfirst won big at the 19th Raigam Tele Awards 2022 held in Colombo last evening. Newsfirst won the award for the best news bulletin of the year along with several others at the awards ceremony. We share the joy of receiving these accolades with you, the general public, who elevated Newsfirst to #1 spot in Sri Lanka.
The Raigam Tele Awards 2022 was held at the Shangri-La Hotel in Colombo last evening. Artists, journalists and veterans in the field of television were felicitated at the event.
ජාතියේ ටෙලි සම්මාන රාත්‍රී
රයිගම් ටෙලිස් 2022
ඉරිත්තන් ඉසිදි පුතුනේ හුවක් මල් කෙලිත්තෙන්.
Newsfirst Randika Hettiarachchi won the award for the most outstanding documentary of the year for his documentary titled Wasgamu Vismaya.
Randika Hettiarachchi නිර්මාණය කළ Wasgamu Vismaya.
Randika Hettiarachchi produced the documentary while Lakhnuwan Varnakula Surya handled the cinematography aspect. The documentary was edited by Jananjana Amarasinghe, while Newsfirst correspondent Pradeep Gunawardhana was an invaluable part of the team that produced the documentary. Didula Boghakumbura and wildlife officers Anura Senarath and Dhammika Susil Bandara also supported the production of the documentary. All 3 nominees for the Best TV English News Anchor were TV1 News Anchors, and the award was bagged by Naveksha Gunasekara.
TV1 ප්‍රවෘත්ති නිවේදිකා Naveksha Gunasekara.
Shakti TV's Jnana Kumaran Ganadiban won the award for the Best Tamil Television Presenter. Host of the program People's Platform on TV1, Sonali Vaniga Baduge, won the award for the Best TV Program Host for the year 2022.
13 years since the military defeat of the LTTE.
The award for the Best Sinhala Male News Anchor was won by Madhushan De Silva of Hero TV, while Madhunika Karaputugala won the award for the Best Sinhala Female News Anchor. Sajjayana won the award for the Most Outstanding Music Program of the Year. The Jury Award for Unbiased News Segment was accepted by Lal Hemantha Mavalage of Siyatha TV for the news segment Television Katuvakia. Dusheni Miurangi won the award for the Most Popular Actress of the Year, while Uddika Premaratna bagged the award for the Most Popular Actor of the Year. The award for Best Actor was won by Jagat Chamila. Umali Tilakaratna and Volga Kalpani jointly won the award for Best Actress, making history in the Raigam Tele Awards.
විශිෂ්ටතම නිලිය සම සම්මානයෙන් පිදුම් ලබන මුල්ම අවස්ථාව.
Veteran journalist Saman Atawuda Hetty and veteran actress Nethali Nanayakara were honoured with special awards at the Raigam Teles 2022. The Pratibha Prabha Lifetime Achievement Award was awarded to veteran actress Veena Jayakodi. TV Derana was crowned as the channel that won the most number of media awards, while Swarna Wahini was adjudged as the channel that won the most awards for teledramas. ITN bagged the prize for the channel that won the most number of awards at the Raigam Telly's 2022. Other Therana News won the award for the most popular news bulletin. News First won the award for the best news bulletin of the year at the Raigam Telly's 2022. News First also won this accolade for best news bulletin in the years 2021 and 2019. News First accepted this award on behalf of the people. We have always been and always will be with the people. The people are the true recipients of this award. It is our honor to accept this award on behalf of the people. We share this victory with the general public of Sri Lanka.
News First with the people.
A government project to donate rice to low-income households began today, focusing on the eastern province.
The program got underway in the Trincomalee, Batticaloa and Ampara districts today. 10 kilos of rice was handed over to low-income families in many areas in the Batticaloa district, including Chenkaladi, Manmune North, Porattivpatru, Vellavali, Kaatankudi and Kiran.
The Police Special Task Force has arrested 3 henchmen of notorious organised criminal gang leader Karu Dharmaseri, along with a controlled substance named ice and sharp weapons.
The organised crime unit of the Police Special Task Force conducted 3 raids in the Ratmalana area based on a tip received yesterday. The STF said 2 suspects from Ratmalana and another from Muratua were arrested, along with 50 grams of ice, 34,700 rupees in cash, a sword and a digital scale. The STF added that the 3 suspects were handed over to the Mount Lavinia police for further investigations.
The Sri Lanka Nidahas Sevaka Sangamaya said a protest campaign will be launched tomorrow against attempts to privatize the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is making profits today. The profit for last month was 9 billion rupees and the profit for January was nearly 13 billion rupees. While that is the situation, they're trying to hand over 600 CPC filling stations to foreign countries without any fair reason. This is the most corrupt deal that is to take place in Sri Lanka this year. Although the government will not receive a single dollar through this deal, it's clear that people involved will receive dollars into their accounts. If this happens, the government will lose the monopoly for fuel in this country and it will go to multinational companies. All trade unions will launch a protest campaign and a hunger strike on Monday morning to defeat this act of betrayal against the country.
A tense situation arose between the residents and the police of the Sandunpura village in Gurudeniya, which has been battered by the wild elephant menace for many years.
This heated situation arose between the police and residents of Sandunpura in Gurudeniya, who have been battered by wild elephants who raid their village on a daily basis. Wild elephants raided the village last evening as well. The residents claim that although they alerted the police and the wildlife officials at the time, they arrived too late. Since the officers arrived too late, the residents attempted to chase the elephants away and 2 people sustained injuries and were hospitalized in the process. The elephants that raided the village in the evening hours destroyed many crops in the area. This farmer lives in the Galenbindunueva Divisional Secretariat in Anuradhapura. He is weeping because elephants destroyed his farmland on 3 separate occasions. Elephants raid many villagers in the Galenbindunueva Divisional Secretariat from the Huruluweva and Habarana forest reserves.
ඇවිල්ලා බලන්න මේ ගම්මානවල මිනිස්සු විඳින දුක ගොවිතැන් ඔක්කොම සියලු දේවල් ඉවරයි. සම්පූර්ණ ජීවිතේ විනාශ කරලා තියෙන දැන් ඊයේ රෑ අලියවිල්ලා. බලධාරීන් කවුරු හරි කමන්නේ ඇවිල්ලා බලන්න මේ කරලා තියෙන විනාශේ.
These people plead for a sustainable solution to the wild elephant threat. They also expect compensation for the crops which have been destroyed.
The Sri Lanka Ports Authority has provided a financial allocation of 144 million rupees for the construction of a new passenger terminal at the Kankasanture port to facilitate the passenger transport service set to begin between India and Sri Lanka.
The passenger terminal is being built by the Sri Lanka Navy and is to be handed over to Sri Lanka Ports Authority in the second week of April. The Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripala de Silva, says the first passenger vessel of this service is scheduled to arrive on the 29th of April. The ministry said the passenger ferry service is open to aspiring businessmen from India and Sri Lanka.
The 32nd Road Track District Conference was held today.
The 32nd Road Track District Conference, a one-day event, brought road tractors from all around the country together for a discussion on contemporary trends in youth development, to celebrate service and provide a platform for young people to engage and learn in the spirit of volunteerism.
Basically what's happening here is we have our road tractors volunteers coming in today to share their experience in terms of what they do in volunteering in Sri Lanka and Maldives. So we have close to about 98 clubs in Sri Lanka with 5,000 plus road tractors. This platform is for our road tractors to meet different individuals, learn a lot of leadership skills and to embrace what they've done and to also move forward in doing volunteerism in Sri Lanka and around the world as well.
Over 400 road tractors took part in the event. Newsfirst was the official news broadcaster at the event.
We will bring you world news right after this short commercial break.
23% for 2 months, 25% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Welcome back to the news. Russian President Vladimir Putin says that Russian tactical nuclear weapons will be stationed in Belarus.
According to Russian state media, President Vladimir Putin said the move would not violate nuclear non-proliferation agreements and compared it to the US stationing its weapons in Europe. Putin added that Moscow would not be transferring control of its arms to Minsk. The US said it did not believe Russia was preparing to use the nuclear weapons after the announcement. The US Defense Department said in a statement, quote, "We have not seen any reason to adjust our own strategic nuclear posture. We remain committed to the collective defense of the NATO alliance," unquote. Belarus shares a long border with Ukraine and with NATO members Poland, Lithuania and Latvia. This will be the first time since the mid-1990s that Moscow will have based nuclear arms outside the country. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russia cannot start until Western allies send more military support. He told a Japanese newspaper he would not send his troops to the front lines without more tanks, artillery and HIMARS rocket launchers. He told a Japanese newspaper he would not send his troops to the front lines without more tanks, artillery and HIMARS rocket launchers. In an interview, he said the situation in eastern Ukraine was not good. He said, quote, "We are waiting for ammunition to arrive from our partners," unquote. And when asked about the expected counteroffensive, he said, "We can't start yet. We can't send our brave soldiers to the front line without tanks, artillery and long-range rockets." He added, quote, "If you have the political will, you can find a way to help us. We are at war and can't wait," unquote. There has been talk for some weeks of Ukraine launching a spring offensive against Russian forces. Ukrainian commanders have hinted it might be imminent.
Big match fever continues, and here's a look at some of today's action.
The 123rd Battle of the Blues Ruhuna between St. Thomas's College Mathura and St. Servatius College Mathura ended in a draw today. In the first innings of the match held at Uyanwatta in Mathura, St. Thomas's was bowled out for 241 runs. In reply, St. Servatius declared the innings on 346 for 6. Vishwa Supun scored a brilliant century. In their second innings, St. Thomas's College Mathura were dismissed for 171 runs. Thus, St. Servatius was set a target of 66 runs to win. However, they were only able to score 44 for 3 at the close of play.
And that's a wrap of Prime Time News here on TV1. As always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, take care, and have a good night.